Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. Paranormal researchers were shocked to hear the laughter of a small girl during their investigation of a Romany Museum in Spalding in the UK. Reportedly, the giggling sent shivers down the spines of even the most cynical members of the paranormal team visiting the Gordon Boswell Romany Museum. The seasoned investigators of Extreme Paranormal decided that the exhibition, with its colourful caravans, seemed like an interesting location to explore, and visited for an all-night stint one Saturday evening in 2013. Vivian Powell, one of the team members, said she knew it was going to become an eventful few hours because even before the equipment was set in place, things started happening. She stated that while the investigations are just a hobby for most of the researchers, some members of their technical team are openly cynical about what they do. But even before they got set up, some members of the group who were confirmed unbelievers said they could hear a little girl giggling in or around one of the antiquated caravans. The team was instantly stunned and their perceptions confirmed by museum owner Gordon Boswell. He explained that when he bought one particular Romany caravan from a seller in the south of England, he was asked if he would also take on the little girl as well. He reports that he has seen her twice, but at the start of Extreme's investigation, he also heard her giggling. Boswell later commented that he couldn't believe some of the phenomena that occurred that night, during which the team reported that there was a lot of paranormal activity. At one stage, a small table started rocking and then flipped over in a somersault. He couldn't believe what he witnessed in his usually static and benign exhibition space. A mobile caravan seems like an unlikely place to find a persistent ghost, but there has been a lot of speculation about another, less good-natured presence that attached itself to a holiday caravan in Norfolk. This account starts with a family looking forward to a holiday packed with sun, swimming and sandcastles in the seaside town of Great Yarmouth in the east of England. They were to become shocked to realise that an uninvited guest had taken up residence in the caravan that they had been renting over 4 days. The invisible entity was determined to make it perfectly clear it wanted them to leave. In June 1971, the Dunford family travelled from their home in Cambridgeshire to the Seashore Holiday Park in eager anticipation of a restful and refreshing break. The family group included Reg Dunford, a farm worker, and his wife Juliana, both in their early 30s, their 3 children, and Reg's brother David. They arrived at the cream-coloured caravan, numbered B77, on a Saturday evening and enjoyed 4 happy and uneventful days by the seaside until things became creepily strange late on Wednesday night. The family had returned to their caravan at 11:30 p.m, whereupon David climbed into his bunk in the 5-berth van. He was to later report that suddenly he was prodded hard in the ribs, but there was no one standing anywhere near him. He momentarily thought that he must be imagining things and lay down again, but experienced the same disembodied prodding. He reported that, just as frighteningly, slowly the air around his bunk became chilly and cold, and it became difficult for him to breathe. His brother Reg moved over to sit on David's bunk, but jumped up immediately, also saying he couldn't breathe and that he had also been prodded and struck in the ribs. The phantom attack so terrified the family that soon after midnight they drove the 2.5 hours back to Kimbolton in Cambridgeshire in order for everyone to get a good night's sleep. The plan was to drive back to the caravan to continue the ruptured holiday, but when it came to the next morning, the couple's 8-year-old daughter Angela refused point blank to return to the haunted van. She stayed at home with her grandfather, but the other members of the family returned, curious to find out if the spirit was still in residence or whether the holiday could continue in peace. Her mother Juliana spoke to the Eastern Daily Press on the following Friday and ruefully explained that just after midnight on the day of their return, exactly the same aggressive proddings started to recur. Once again, the whole caravan became chillingly cold, and anyone who went near the bunk beds was prodded in the ribs. Even Sally, their retriever dog, refused to even enter the caravan. Mrs. Dunford had been found trembling and crying outside the caravan at midnight by a night watchman, who straightaway rehoused the family in another van. The shaken Dunfords could finally relax and settle down to enjoy the remainder of their fortnight's holiday on the 1400 caravan site. A bemused Mr. Bob Whitworth, who was the site manager at the time, declared that no one else would stay in B77 and that the caravan would be exported to the Netherlands, where many of the park's fans were sent at the earliest opportunity. He stated that the management had investigated the caravan and found nothing. Prior to the van being shipped off, Whitworth then offered a free night's lodging to anyone who was prepared to take up the challenge of staying in a haunted caravan. He admitted that the ghostly presence, apparition, or whatever it was, seemed to have mystified so many people that he was receiving letters and telephone calls from ghost hunters who wanted to spend a night in the van. Whitworth stated that anyone who wanted to sleep by the sea was perfectly welcome to do so as far as he was concerned, and that he was certainly not going to charge them any money to be scared out of their wits. One exploratory team certainly took him up on his offer when the Borderline Science Investigation Group came forward. The organisation had been formed to investigate folklore, UFOs, ghosts and fairy incidents in the Suffolk area of Britain, but unfortunately is no longer in existence. Its team investigated the caravan on June 11th, settling in for the night at around 7:30 p.m. and deciding to direct its attention towards a bed in the northeast corner of the van, which had earned the reputation of being the haunted bunk. Despite their night-long vigil, the group detected no psychic disturbances, even though an earlier ghost hunter had claimed to have definitively witnessed an apparition present near one of the bunks. This person was still unable to offer any evidence as to who the spirit was or why it was there and behaving so egregiously. The investigation group completed their report on the matter in 1982, which indicated that they had been very thorough, with only one member sensing that something may have moved his foot under the caravan table. According to the site owner and the Borderline Science Investigation Group, the haunted caravan did end up being sold. However, in 1977, there was another incident within the Seashore Holiday Park, reported as occurring in the same area in a caravan that shared the same number, B77. Another family was staying in the identically located caravan and were also rudely awoken during the night. This time, the family members could hear eerie voices speaking in a foreign language coming from underneath the caravan. One brave soul actually searched under the caravan with the aid of a torch, but could find absolutely nothing. More recently, the Norfolk Folklore Society has researched possible sources of these bizarre hauntings. They found that in post-medieval days, a gallows house existed and many witches had been executed in that area. Last century, German prisoners of war were used to conduct mine clearing by hand in the same vicinity, and several were known to have perished. The researchers also wondered if the caravan ghost had good motives. It was later found that butane was leaking from caravan B77's light, and perhaps the family was being warned of potential carbon monoxide poisoning, resulting in the happy outcome of being moved to another van. The Seashore Holiday Park in Norfolk is now managed by Haven and very popular. Seemingly, the sinister presence has moved on, as there have been no reports of any further unexplained occurrences there.